when you're fumbling every game, obviously teams are gonna lock in on it and they're gonna go for it more, and that just is even more reason for me to I need to figure it out, man.
There's some good things that we can take away, but there's a lot of areas that we need to improve. And I think it's one of those things where everybody has to look at themselves. I've got to be better. I've got to do a better job out there and giving our guys chances. And, we'll look at this one and we'll move on from it.
Beauty of the thing is our division isn't doing that well this year, and we still got a shot at it. But we got to figure it out. I got to figure this thing out, and I need to be better this team and lead them and go help them win football games.
We've been playing uphill every single game. We haven't got into a groove or a rhythm and got out in front yet this year. And it's the self-inflicted wounds that continue to plague us. So we got work to do, and we got to do it fast.
I don't think it really was much of what they did. I think it was me. I'm supposed to be a guy this team can rely on. I'm supposed to be a guy that this team can lean on when times get rough, and I just wasn't that today. I got us started off to a terrible start. The defense were playing well, but I killed our momentum. 2 fumbles. I can't do that. One, I'm giving the ball away. I wasn't helping the team, and I think they did the right thing, and gave some of those reps to TP. But I can't do that. I have to be a guy this team can lean on. Especially in the times right now. With so many of our starters hurt and not playing. So it's not acceptable, and I need to figure it out. I started the game out with 2 fumbles, gave the ball away, and that gave them all the momentum that they needed to go and take off. I want to say I'm sorry, and this one's on me, and I need to be better for this team.
Ezekiel Elliott, after last night's 38-10 loss to the Arizona Cardinals, fueled by his 2 fumbles. And Chris, look, somebody sent me an email overnight that makes a ton of sense, and it's the perfect nudge I needed, because someone needs to nudge Ezekiel Elliott to go see a sports psychologist, and I don't mean that in a joking way. Right. I don't mean that in a sarcastic way or a pejorative way. Plenty of athletes see psychologists to help them process these issues. He's got it in his head he's going to fumble. You can't be talking that way. You can't be thinking that way, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to fumble. You're going to continue to fumble. He needs to get in a mindset where he's not worried about fumbling. It's like anything else in life. The more you worry about doing something, you will yourself into it. You unconsciously push yourself that way, and you make yourself vulnerable. Also, maybe he needs to consider how he's holding the ball. Remember how Tiki Barber cured his fumbling problems? Right. The high and tight, it looked goofy, but he stopped fumbling after that. So there's a lot of things the Cowboys need to do. And, when you're bad and when you're losing, it's an avalanche of issues that you have to deal with. Somebody's got to get Ezekiel Elliott in a spot where he's getting the advice he needs, he's talking it through, he's processing it, so he's not going to continue to fumble the ball, because the way he's talking, I guarantee you he's going to continue to fumble the ball unless there's some sort of intervention that gets him thinking differently and carrying the ball differently.
Yeah, well, how can it not be in his head? You're right. So there's going to have to be adjustments made. Certainly. And this guy has never really had this type of problem his whole career, or at Ohio State or anything like that. But, I think between, whatever it is, adjusting technique, mindset a little bit about how you carry the football, and then just the natural human reaction of, probably trying to do too much, really too. The first fumble is a little unfortunate. I don't know if it was necessarily careless. Andy Dalton's under pressure. He kind of shovels it out there to Ezekiel Elliott. And as he's like, oh, wait, I got the ball, because he was just in pass protection. Now he's thinking, let me go make a play. He's really in the process of tucking it away. Buda Baker, who's a hell of a player, comes in and he's all arms and swatting at the ball, and it was great. But the problem is, they're paying Ezekiel Elliott like he's the best running back in football, and that hasn't been the case, and their defense is crappy. It's as crappy as it can get, and they just can't afford to make any mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. And unfortunately for them, whether it's Dak Prescott interceptions before the injury or Ezekiel Elliott fumbles, they've really put them in some tough spots in some of these games, and They just can't do that anymore because Dak Prescott's not out there. That's one thing we know. Andy Dalton's a good football player. One thing we know after last night is he ain't Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a little bit better than people want to give him credit for. But, yeah, the Cowboys just can't make those mistakes, Mike. They're not a good football team.
Well, and you know what? The point that you've made from time to time that I think becomes critical right now when you consider the injuries, that offensive line is a shadow of what it used to be. And at one point last night, they said the guy with the most experience on the line, some guy that I can't even remember what his name is, a third-year player. Like, they have so many key players out along their offensive line. That offensive line is so much worse than it was. And isn't that football? It's the way football's always been. When your offensive line is great, sometimes it's so good that people are in awe of it. But even then, who gets the praise?
Yeah.
Who gets the attention? Who gets the notoriety? It's the quarterback, it's the running back, it's the receivers. And I think that's the biggest challenge for any professional football team, understanding why your great running back is playing great. Is it him or is it everyone around him?
Right.
And that's the tough decision. When you allow yourself to have a workhorse who puts up big numbers and everyone has his jersey and everyone wants to talk to him and he's a superstar, is it that he's an interchangeable part?
Yeah.
Or is it that he's going to be a star no matter what's going on around him like a Barry Sanders? And we're seeing it. And this isn't a criticism of Ezekiel Elliott. This is just reality. Without blockers, what can he do? Without Dak Prescott, what can he do? That's why it's a team sport. But, I suspect that the Cowboys regret paying Zeke the contract they paid him.
Definitely.
They let DeMarco Murray walk away.
Yep.
Trusting that, hey, we can find somebody else to take his place because we've got a great offensive line, and they did. And it's just unfortunate because you get too much money invested in one position, and it's not delivering when you don't have the blocking there. And I think that's one of the big problems right now for the Cowboys offense.
Yeah, definitely. And it is, like you just said too, it's not going to change. The Cowboys offensive line, the days are over. The glory days are over. They're older. They're beat up. It's not the same group. Tyrone Smith, we know. Lyle Collins, not there. And then there's Zach Martin. You're going, well, they still got Zach Martin. Oh, well, he's in concussion protocol during the game last night. So they're not going to be able to continue to rely on, like, this is 2014 or 2016, and we're going to control the ball for 35 minutes, and we're just going to run the ball, and our defense will only have to be on the field for a little bit, and then they'll fly around and create chaos. No. They're going to still have to go back to that passing game. That's what it's going to have to be. And it's going to be tough, too, because, I just don't see how that defense gets a whole lot better. The way Kyler Murray ran around on them and did some of those things last night, the Cowboys are just not a good football team. But they're not out of it because of the NFC East. Nobody's out of it.
But the defense is abysmal.
Oh,
not just bad. It's historically
pitiful.
bad.
Right.
It's the fourth most points given up in league history through this number of games. And there's no reason to think they're going to be any better, and I still think there's a chance Mike Nolan's going to get fired at some point during the season, if not today. But you know what's starting to bubble up now?
What's that?
Because for the past several years, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones have been praised for putting together a team. Well, now that the team stinks, they're being criticized again. And look, when you don't have competent backups on the offensive line, when your defense doesn't match the scheme that you're trying to run, and you're the ones making the decisions on who the coaches are going to be, that your head coach hires, or you're at least involved in it, you got a spoon in the stew while these decisions are made, it does fall back on them.
It does.
And if they were in any other division right now, it would be 100 times worse. But you're right. They're 2-4. They're in first place in the worst division in football. And one of those teams, 2-4 Cowboys, 1-4-1 Eagles, 1-5 Giants, 1-5 Washington. One of those teams is going to host a great number 5 seed, whether it's Packers or Bears out of the North, whether it's Bucks or Saints out of the South, whether it's Seahawks, Rams, 49ers, or Cardinals out of the West. There's going to be a great team that has to go on the road and play one of these crap franchises in the postseason, and that's what's wrong about the current configuration of the NFL. 4 teams per division is not enough because you have years like this, and it's not like 1 out of 10. It seems like every year there's one division where we're like, why is the champion of that division hosting a playoff game?
I know. And it's going to be ugly this year because the NFC East, they're playing the NFC West and the AFC North, which are the 2 best divisions we have in football, I believe. I think you agree with that. And yeah, they're not out of the woods yet. They're not. I mean, they still got, of course, the people in their division, but the Ravens and the Steelers and the 49ers, they're all still waiting there for the Dallas Cowboys. So I don't know. But I think the thing you said, the defense is really the biggest issue. I mean, they hung in there a little bit early on, but that was only because Kyler Murray was a little off throwing the football, and Arizona just couldn't kind of get their mojo going. But after they kind of got a feel for the game and Kyler started, feeling good about what he was doing, I mean, the game was over. Big plays, those fumbles, everything like that, and it's just Dallas can't stop the run. They don't have people that can cover people on the outside. You can see they got no great pass rush. The Jones family, I think let the shelf life of this team just go a little too long. That's probably where they misevaluated a little bit, to where there needed to be a little more turnover for a team that, we've had in that, could this be the year for the Dallas Cowboys for the last 3 or 4 years? We've kind of been saying that. And, of course, it's not going to be that way this year.
You could make the argument that Dak Prescott made himself a hell of a lot more money last night. But again, if you end up making that gigantic financial investment in Dak, you better hope that you can go back to 6-7 years ago and start hitting on these draft picks again, because that's how you're going to rebuild this team. It's not going to be through free agency, especially if you end up giving Dak Prescott a huge percentage of your total salary cap. You're going to have to find young guys who come in with relatively low pay in comparison to guys like Dak and Zeke, and who knows how much longer Zeke's going to be there under the contract he signed. And you have to reload that way. And there's that constant urgency with the Cowboys, and I get it. I understand it. I'd be the same way if I had just turned 78 and I'm desperate to get another Super Bowl championship, and it's all I'm thinking about. And I want one that came from the team I built, not the team that Jimmy Johnson built. I think it takes on a life of its own, and it creates so much pressure and stress for everyone in the organization, where there's this overwhelming let's get one while Jerry's still the owner of the team. I think it almost curses them to not get one while Jerry's still the owner of the team, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it certainly, puts pressure on the situation. But yeah, they're in a tough spot, and they're going to have to get into the offseason, and they'll have to figure out how to rebuild their football team and where to go from there. But there's just, there's so many issues. The defensive line is so not talented, and then it doesn't match up with Mike Nolan and the scheme he wants to run. And that's probably the biggest issue overall. You brought it up earlier in the conversation. That's where I don't quite understand where that got off track in the offseason. Wait, we're going to hire a guy on defense that wants to play, a 3-4 type stuff on the defensive line. He wants defensive tackles who just hold people up and read the play. And they got defensive tackles there that don't do that, and they never have. And there is really a disconnect there, and I don't understand the thought process in the offseason to think that might work, or not change over players at that position, or just not hire Mike Nolan altogether and go, wait, this makes no sense for this defensive personnel to play with that coach. That's going to take a few years for that to mold and work the right way. And we're seeing, it's not going to work this year unless they get new personnel or a new defensive coordinator out there.
And the other reality, last point on this, it isn't something that we should be figuring out and talking about during the season. This is part of the proper setting of expectations going into a season. The Cowboys should have been talking about this. Well, it's going to take some time for this defense to gel because we have a different system than we had, and it's going to take some time to get the right pieces. And if you admit that early going in, then you don't have this sense, hey, here come the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are talented, and they've got Dak, and they've got Zeke, and they've got this, and they've got that, and they have CD Lamb. He fell into their laps. And you get this unwarranted sense of excitement around a team, and then reality sets in. And I think the Joneses are so caught up in seizing on any and all excitement they can get, real or imagined, they just don't care. They can't help themselves.
Yeah.
We get some hype, we're going to ride it. We'll worry about tomorrow later. For now, they think we're going to be good. And you know what? Maybe we won't be good, but at least we had a few months where people thought we were going to be good. The Cardinals, we thought they were great, and then they lost a couple of games that they should have won, arguably. And now they've beaten a couple of teams that, grand scheme of things, who knows how good the Cardinals really are. But 38-10 is impressive. Here's Kyler Murray, who went back to Texas last night and got it done.
It was fun. It brought back a lot of memories. Felt like I've been playing there every Sunday, honestly. It was comfortable, felt good. It was started off sloppy. I mean, for me personally, the whole game was sloppy, but you know, we played a. I feel like, you know, besides me, you know, running backs ran well, O-line played great. Our defense, man, I can't say enough about them and what they did tonight. You know, receivers made plays when they needed to, but we still can be a lot better, and it starts with me.
Yeah, 9 for 24 passing, but still got it done. He had 74 rushing yards. He had a touchdown. He's just so elusive. He's so exciting. Oof. Even when you only complete 9 passes, it's fun to watch start to finish. And he's right about the defense. Look, I don't know that they would have been able to win that game if the defense wasn't as good as it was last night. And that's been the big question you had about this team. Yeah. Where's their defense?
Right.
And they don't have Chandler Jones, so there was concern that maybe, you know, they're not going to be very good on defense. They're going to have to win shootouts, and Kyler Murray's going to have to play extremely well each and every week. But to win 38-10, when the stats are kind of, yeah, you know, you had 3 total touchdowns, but the yardage and the passing, it just, still have that kind of a convincing win tells me they're on to something, Chris.
Well, I mean, they got some playmakers, and there's some things to really like about their football team. I think, like, in totality, I still feel kind of the same way about them going into the game, though. I'm just not quite sure yet. You know, we know that's not a good Cowboys football team who served up a little like, hey, you guys need to get going and play better. Here's the ball 2 times for you early on to get jump started. We want to be nice guests here down in Texas and, you know, make you feel at home. So here's the ball. Ezekiel Elliott, very nice man like that. So, but no, I mean, it's still moments, though, you see, just like with the passing numbers, where it's underwhelming and things don't click. And it seems like defenses are all over them a little bit. You know, the numbers are going to look good. The yards are going to look good. But it's a one-play 80-yard touchdown. It's the big run at the end of the game by Kenyon Drake that makes his stats look good. I'm just not sure still if the offense has enough to offer to beat, like, the middle class and above NFL-type defenses. That's what I want to see going forward. You know, Kyler Murray's 3 weeks in a row is a little off throwing the football. And, you know I texted you last night. I've noticed just this real quick because I know we got to go to a break soon, but I've noticed his motion has changed a little. I wonder if he's got a little arm tendonitis. I want somebody in Arizona to ask about arm tendonitis because he has some of the things he does. He's changed his motion a little bit to be longer, which makes me think maybe he's got a little thing there. And Mike, I'm being total quarterback looking into this, but there was a few times walking off the field last night where he would unbuckle his chin strap only with his left arm, and he would leave his right arm hanging there. I just wonder that. I don't know why I brought that up because I'm a quarterback geek. Sorry.
I think that's a fair observation, though, when you see how someone leaves the field and what they're favoring, what they're protecting, and
like that. And I'm like, wait, well, your right arm's there. Usually you just do that, or you go both of them, and like that's it. And just between the throws that we've seen him miss the last few weeks and things like that, I just wonder.
We're going to find out a lot about the Cardinals in 5 days because they play the Seahawks.
Ooh,
I don't know if that counts as a bingo, but they play the Seahawks on. They play the Seahawks twice out of the next 4 games.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.